Hi, my name is Matt Podorowski, the City Administrator for the City of Chaska, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Beyond the Budget. This is a series where we take a look at some of the numbers behind some of the services we provide to hopefully provide you with a better understanding of some of the things that we're talking about during the budget process this year. My guest today is our Administrative Service Director, Noel Graczky. Noel has been with the city since 1987? 88. So he's been with the city for a very long time and very much understands what's behind the numbers here at the city. And the concept, the thing we're going to be talking about today is our general fund reserves. This is one of the things that we're working on specifically in our budgeting process this year. And I'd like to ask you, Noel, first of all, explain to our listeners what is the general fund reserve and really what's its purpose?
Well, the general fund is the primary fund that operates the governmental services such as our public works, police, fire, park and rec. And as a part of our operations, we have to make sure we maintain enough cash to pay our bills during the first half of the year. Our taxes don't come in until July and December. And so at the end of each fiscal year on December 31st, we have to have sufficient reserves available to pay our bills. We also have to have sufficient cash reserves in case there are downturns in the economy. Now, we did experience some of that this year with the pressure that we've seen on declining revenues because of the COVID emergency that occurred.
Why don't you talk a little bit about the actions that we're taking this year and sort of what it's going to lead into in future years and why that's so important?
Well, as a part of our 2021 budget process, we are committing $100,000 of the general fund to build back some of those reserves that we've drawn down in recent years. The primary reason for this was we issued 5 bonds earlier this year, and back in February, our rating agency, S&P Global Ratings, affirmed our current bond rating of AA with a stable outlook. But when we were back in the market in March and April, after the COVID emergency hit, they came back and said, there's downward pressure and we're going to change your outlook from stable to negative. And that was partially because they've seen some declines in our fund balance reserves over the years, and they have encouraged us to build those reserves back up. So by committing $100,000 a year as a part of our current budget, we're going to reestablish some of those reserves for future years.
So one of the things that we did to help illustrate to the City Council during our discussions was to go and look at those bond sales that we had this year and look at them based on our current rating, and then looking at them if we had a downgrade in the rating. And why don't you share with us some of the information that our financial advisors came back with to sort of show what type of impact that could have?
Yes, our current bond rating for the city's general obligation rating is AA, and we looked at what would happen if that was downgraded 2 notches, because back several years ago we were upgraded by 2 notches. And so when we looked at the 5 issues that we've issued so far this year, if we had been downgraded those 2 notches, our annual debt service costs would have been up nearly $65,000 a year. And then we also looked at what would happen if we continued to issue our debt for the next 5 years that we have planned. If we had that downgrade, if we incur that downgrade over the next 5 years, it would be about a $1.8 million cost that we would incur by paying higher rates on our bonds. Basically, the bond rating is like a credit score. People are familiar with their credit scores. The higher your credit score, the lower the interest rate you pay. When our bond rating goes down, that means our credit score is going down and we pay higher interest.
So although this is going to cost us more money in the short term to be able to build this back up, really it's an investment into our future to make sure that our future costs are lower and that we're able to make our dollar go further with the projects that we do.
That's correct. We feel it's going to be much better for us as a community financially to invest now to build those reserves and then use those future resources to invest in the community rather than just paying higher interest in the future.
Well, we appreciate your time today, Noel, and helping our listeners understand a little bit about what we're talking about for this year's budget. If anybody has any questions on this, they can feel free to contact myself at City Hall or look online to be able to see the full presentation of our budget, general fund budget to the council. Thank you.